I feel unsettled. I don't know what comes next. I feel like I'm between two worlds. I'm grieving something, even though it might be good. I feel excited and terrified at the same time. I feel like I've lost my footing. I feel like I'm waiting for my life to begin again. What would you add to this list when you're going through change and transition? What feelings come up for you? Hello, welcome back. Does any of that sound familiar? If so, you're in the right place. This month we're looking at change and transition and how that feels. I pulled a card this morning to help me think about it, and I pulled Driftwood, which says being carried, letting go, and acceptance. And I quite like this for this theme because it is about just letting yourself be carried. Sometimes, when we resist change, it makes it more difficult or complicated than it might otherwise be. And, if you let yourself go and be carried, you might still end up on a beautiful beach. So I like that idea. But join me now, come and sit with me for a while if you want to think a little bit more about change and transition and what might help when you're going through that phase. So thinking about change and transition, I think the key distinction is that between the two is that change is something that happens externally. It's an event or something that's happening around us or to us. Whereas transition is the inner journey, the process that we go through while we're adjusting to that external happening. So one is an event, the other is a process. That's the way I see it. And, change can be chosen or unchosen, or sometimes both at once. Something that's just an event, an external circumstance that happens that we have no control over, and sometimes it's a change in our life that we actively choose. But even positive change involves the loss of something, even a choice that we make to find a better job or a better home or a better relationship. That still involves the loss of something because we're leaving something behind which is familiar. So transition, that processing of a change, I believe has three phases. There's an ending, because we're starting with something coming to an end and a loss. A middle, where we're leaving something behind but we're not quite sure what's next. And then a new beginning, where we're becoming more established in the new beginning, in the new thing. That middle muddle, I think, is the hardest. It's the in-between place where the old is gone, the new hasn't arrived yet. And I think that this is where most people feel most lost, and most lost in themselves. It's the place that I call the void. So thinking of causes of transitions, this can be life events like relationship changes, job changes, loss, health, inner shifts. Our values change, we're outgrowing something, we realise something isn't working for us anymore internally. Sometimes we can't even properly name it, we just know that somehow we're changing. External upheaval, so world events and uncertainty, things beyond our control. The economy, different things happening around us. And the accumulation of small changes that tip into feeling overwhelmed, so where it's lots of little nibbles of change that sort of just become a bit too much in the end, because you're continually having to adapt. And then there are natural life seasons, so having children, midlife, children leaving, retirement, aging, different things happening in our lives associated more with our age and stage, I suppose. So, I don't know, I'm called to come back a little bit to the driftwood message. You know, driftwood doesn't fight the current. It doesn't know where it's going, but it does get somewhere. And on this card, as it says, you know, it might end up on a beautiful beach. Sometimes I think resistance can make transition harder, but we resist because we're in that void, in the middle place. We don't know what's coming next, and that's making us feel unsettled. And so we want to return to the familiar. We want to return to what we know. But I think it's helpful to remember that being carried, imagine you're this piece of driftwood in that middle phase, being carried by the sea of life isn't the same as being lost. You know, there's something inside you that can be steady through the process of change, that doesn't have to feel lost. And if you can trust that the current is, you know, going in a direction which you're going to be able to ride, manage, adapt to, and bring in an element of trust rather than fear, with a more of a hopeful sort of attitude towards what's coming next, then I think that that can make change and transition easier. And, you know, letting go and accepting the change and trusting it. Letting go doesn't mean that nothing's happening. Your life might begin to flow in a really beautiful, unexpected new direction. I think thinking about what might help, when it's about, I think, going through this change with awareness. So name what's ending, acknowledge the loss or the end of whatever it is that you're leaving behind. Even if it's a good change that you're making consciously by choice and you're moving towards something, still name the thing that you're leaving behind. Slowing down, giving yourself space to process internally the change, rather than rushing to something new. I think when we're rushing, sometimes we're avoiding uncomfortable feelings, and so we're not really fully processing what's happening. So let yourself find the time to process, do some journaling, do some breathing through it. You know, talk to people that you know and love, or who know and love you, that to help you process the change. I can think of many times in my life when I've jumped quickly into changes, new changes, because I really wanted to leave behind something, and didn't really process the loss. That happened much later, and also didn't really appreciate the change. I kept moving towards things that I wanted to leave again, you know, because there wasn't a sort of processing that was leading me towards something which was new and different. I think finding anchors can help. Finding routines, people and places that help you feel steady. And letting yourself be, as far as you can, in a state of not knowing. You know, trying to replace the fear of not knowing with a feeling of curiosity, maybe, about what's going to come out of this, what's coming next. And, you know, curiosity, even excitement about this new stage that your life is going in. And, you know, be gentle with yourself in the in-between stage. So you might find some of my products useful, just to drop in here that my Relax and Realign program, it's all self-paced, that you can do at home, but that will certainly help with nervous system settling during times of change. And my change and growth workbooks are also very relevant to this theme of change and transition. They help you think more about how you think, feel and behave, One of them is called Change Your Mind About Yourself, and the other one is Rediscover What Makes You You. Because I think that's part of that process of going through change. You know, you might want to reflect more consciously, more deeply on how you respond to change, how you respond to things in your life that you want to make different. So have a look, see if any of that's helpful. As always, there is also the YouTube companion for this theme of change and transitions. If you're going to be following through the month with this theme, then the companion is in the box below. Next week I'll be pulling some oracle cards on this theme to ask for messages, what might help you if you're going through change and transition. And then we'll do some journaling prompts in week 3, and in week 4 we'll do a relaxation for some nervous system settling and just to help you as you go through change. Okay, see you soon. Bye.